So yeah, my name is Nikita Koselev. I've let's just do the stuff and then questions later. But I'm in love with open source in many different ways, but all of them are good. So today we are going to speak about a way to craft your career or even journey in IT world using open source. It was hard for me to define the specific category because it can be used by beginners and can be used by extremely experienced people. I personally meant that so my whole journey started when two extremely senior Java developers came to me, and one of them has been doing low-level Java for like 8 years and Java for 16. And he was thinking that he should spend 10 more years and then he can start contributing to open source. So, well, with me, he started a bit earlier. So I knew quite a bit about open source, but this talk started because my mentor is famous Bruno Souza from Brazil. Hola, Bruno. Amazing person. He's a Java champion and he has a unique award from Java, I think, for Java community building. He built one of the biggest Java mail groups in the world. I think it's 50,000 people or something like this. And he shared his formula of success for IT, for our careers in IT. And I didn't really change it, but I started using this formula for open source because before open source for me, it was like a bunch of everything. And now it is more structured. It is still a nice bunch, but it is a more structured approach for me. So the formula looks like this, and yep, it's decoded. So we'll be going through this formula. Maybe I need to slow down because this morning my computer crashed and hi Sunak, I can see your video. So yeah, this morning this computer crashed. My computer crashed and I couldn't start a Chrome and it was all like 10 minutes before the talk. So now I need to slow down. So basically this formula is below or this one, and everything which is above is a good stuff. And everything which is below is a bad stuff, and you should avoid doing it in your open source journey. So the first F, it's focus. And that's a very important thing because in open source, on GitHub alone, which is not necessarily open source, and your project does not become open source just because it's on GitHub, and your project doesn't stop being open source just because it's not on GitHub. But a few years ago, there were over 200 million projects on GitHub. And if you start contributing to all of them, or even to 10, a little bit here, a little bit there, and if there is no real connection between these projects, then what's the point? Because it will be unfocused. It will be like reading social media in the morning or something. So it won't be very useful. What I suggest people to do is to focus on one or two projects, and there will be more about it because, to be honest, the whole formula it's like glued. So this will come together with goals and other stuff. So, but please focus. Don't try to like jump into every project if you think is cool. So now we are going for the visibility, and focus is cool. So you can be contributing to a really cool project, let's say one or two of them, and like you can be really contributing. But there's a problem because if you're not visible, then first of all, people don't know about you. They cannot hire you. It's harder for them to learn from you because they cannot sign up for your newsletter. They cannot read your books. They cannot try to reach out and talk to you. And second problem is that as we grow, even as junior, because when as a junior you join an open source project or start doing an IT, a lot of you are thinking, I was junior, so I'm still junior in many ways. So a lot of us think that, oh, we know nothing, we have accomplished nothing. That's not true, because to reach this point when you can even come to these lectures today or a talk, a discussion, you've completed quite a long journey. And for many people around the world, and I'm talking about tens of millions of people around the world, for them, that's a very high peak. It may be not this one, but and not this one, but it is this one, which is still like 5 kilometers above the ground. So that's why you need to be visible. So there's you will create or will help to raise millions of people around the world indirectly. So you're basically an indirect mentor of millions of people around the world. And it actually works. It's so cool because when you're visible, you'll see your thoughts reflected from other people in some time. And this is beautiful. And also it increases your employment opportunities and stuff like that. You can even start getting free swag like this one, test containers. So yeah, let's see. Oh, so visibility, action. So all this focus and visibility, they're cool, but there's one problem with it, that it's not enough to like know how to approach stuff and how to do stuff. And unless you start doing something real, nothing will really change. So that's probably why I don't like, that's my hate and love relationship with Coursera. That courses there, they're so long, and you need to finish it, and then what? So my idea is that when you've chosen your project, this focus thing, right? And when you just go to LinkedIn, Twitter, right, that you are looking for ways to contribute to this project, and that's already an action. So instead of going to some super duper course on Coursera, Pluralsight, and other cool, how to call it, cool online libraries, and I really love them. I'm not saying that Coursera is bad or Pluralsight is bad. I'm just saying that there's practice and there's studies and there's combination. So start taking actions from the day zero. So even before you choose a project, right, that you're going to look upon the open source project such and such. As you go through even reading about this project, keep writing, because that's already a contribution to open source. You are doing a DevRel job, you are doing a marketing job, that's important. And then as you go, so it's actions which define you as an open source person. Sorry, I have a meeting, have a Zoom message. I'm not sure. Yeah. It's action which defines you as an open source person, not just wanting to be one. And you can be doing Coursera courses in like at the same time. That's fine. It's even better if you write about these courses. So if your open source project requires you to pick up some theoretical knowledge, write about it, share it. When you go through it, think of like things which were hard for you and write new stuff about it. There is a AWS community member from Japan. Sorry, I don't remember her name, but what she did, she created a path for people who don't have previous IT background, and she became really needed because because her books were for all people, not just for engineers. Okay. Skill. So action is good. So long time ago, when you opened GitHub page of some project, you could press E key and you could edit it right there. And you can still do that with a dot, and I'll probably even show it today. But if all you do, if you keep contributing in the very same way all the time, so let's say you're fixing typos. So it's a very good way to start. It's the second best way to start with open source project. The first best way will be to actually come to the community and ask them, how can you help? But if the only thing you do remains the same, so let's say you're fixing typos or you're doing specific Java code or whatever, you are not utilizing, or maybe you're not grasping how much open source can give you in the community. So I expect people to grow. I want them to grow. So I don't fix typos anymore. So even if I see one, I would rather go and raise a ticket on GitHub, and I will ask people to fix it. And I will say that, can you please mark that it's a junior developer role, or how to call it, first-time contribution role. So this way I make sure that I don't clean up the whole, the whole first-time issues, because it's convenient for people to start. And better than fixing it, even better is noticing them and giving other people an opportunity. So same goes with your skills in other projects. So let's say you joined Atomic Java projects or test containers. This one, it's about Java. It's really cool. So maybe you will start with writing about it, but then you will probably ask the community what to do. And maybe they will appreciate some tutorials from you, and you'll go online and you'll start creating tutorials and so on. And then you will learn, well, sky's the limit, because there's so many roles. And of course, you can write code as well. So giving, that's also extremely important. And that's a doctor probably after a shift. So skills are cool and actions are cool and visibility and focus. But it's very important to always ask yourself, what is community getting from you? It is actually the same important as making sure that giving is healthy. That I love, and I aim to it being clear what you are getting from community for your open source contributions and what community is getting from you. I have a friend, he lives in Germany. He's an amazing developer, but he lost his faith in open source because he created some project on GitHub, and he's a very good developer. He does, I think, with car manufacturers, like low level code. And he said, like, oh, nobody is using my code, but really, what is your code giving to the community? By just sitting on GitHub, it gives them nothing. But if it solves some specific problem for community or for business, or better for both, and it's all visible, and you took some steps, so it gives something to the community. And then if you make sure that you are getting something from it, might be positive emotions, it might be sponsorship, it might be working together. For example, just working together on NASA projects, I mean, the one which sends rockets to space, you will encounter very good engineers. So, for example, if you work with test containers, Atomic Java, or Biodrop projects, or any other cool project, you will be constantly speaking to a very high level developers and engineers and business people in the project. And that's a very high quality education. So in some of the projects, these people will be, in many of these projects, actually, these people will be more knowledgeable than professors in top universities in the world, because these people are too busy to teach. So it's free access to top-tier education. This is so much cheaper than taking a loan. Responsibility. So you need to understand that your actions, even in your private life, they affect communities. So, for example, if you check my social profiles, you won't see a single word about politics. I'm not here to divide people. I will have people from all over the world following me. And I'm always trying to find some way they can make the world a better place together. And I'm very careful in criticizing people. Actually, I don't really criticize them, not in a toxic way. I might ask some questions, but even with myself, there was a person who came criticizing how my banner looked on Twitter, or how my banner thumbnail looked on YouTube. And I thought like, oh, you have like 100 subscribers and I have a few thousands on Twitter. So, but instead of like this first emotion, which is defense, hit and run, instead of that, I came to him and said, look, friend, I understand you want the best. So, but I don't have 3 months to learn Photoshop. So I cannot do that. And he said, no, you don't need to do Photoshop. You do Canva. That's a web app which allows you to create art for your for all the stuff. And yeah, so the next one is consistency. So it is extremely important to be consistent. I would rather have you contributing to open source on a daily manner, like 10 minutes per day, and write about it, or maybe half an hour per day. But yeah, it's not realistic to keep it every day. Then do 3 hours on the weekends. And if it is on the weekends, then let it be every weekend. So consistent is more important, is the most important thing, because you get an immediate feedback, and also you get sorry, one technical problem I will solve now. You get an immediate feedback, so you can change your future course right now without spending tons of resources. And then community gets used to you. So there's so many benefits, and that's probably one of the most important, if not the most important, ways to look at the open source contributions. So I'm trying, when I feel good, I'm trying to do Twitter tweets every day, and I'm trying to keep investigating some project every day and write about it. So for example, right now I'm trying to find a project which sits somewhere between AI, security, and open source. And AI or security, it's easy to choose, but I'm trying to choose this pinnacle. So this one is a me approach. So when people contribute to open source projects and they are asked to share stuff about it, so the least stuff I expect is for these people to only speak about their contributions, because hey, it's not about you, it's about community, it's about the projects behind it. So I would rather have people talk about what these projects give to businesses, to communities around the world, and then you can show your contributions as an example of how to contribute. This is much better. So it's a balance. You shouldn't forget about yourself, but you shouldn't also forget to tell about what the real goal behind the project is and what other people do. So, this one is a good one. So not even apparently, it is possible to lie everywhere. And there was, for example, a case when a person in Java community, there's this strategy, so-called strategy, that you follow someone on Twitter or some other link, some other social, and then when this person follows you, you unfollow this person. And he used, I don't even know his name, I only heard the tale from my mentor, but he used some automatic software which sent up to all people who do Java, and then after some days, it unfollowed them. So he was caught, and I guess he didn't enjoy it. So trying to lie and is not good for your position in open source community, and it's not good for anyone. I once had a case, because I help people, they come to me and ask things about open source, and I try to mentor them. And one of them came to me and he said that, look, I have 5 kids to feed, and I just lost my job, and I need open source to give me a job in 1 month or something like this. So I'm slightly modifying it, but that was the point. So what I told him is that it's I cannot help, because open source, it's more a lifestyle, and it's a very long-term goal. So you will be growing, but I haven't seen many examples of people getting a job in next month or this month. So I suggested that he should concentrate on his kids and find any job. And then if he has time, then yeah, he can contribute to open source in a meaningful way and grow, and hopefully then he will get a perfect job. But no, I don't do magic, and I will not lie about doing magic. There's a Stefan Golke mentioned that default tag is called good first issue in GitHub. That's true. So, and one of the probably the worst thing is being a difficult person, because even if you lied, for example, everybody lies. You might have lied by mistake, but when people come to you and tell you that, look, this is just not true, then if you're welcoming and if you are ready for a real conversation, then sky is the limit. Like, I changed my UI skills with Canva, and I become a part of a number of communities just because I'm easy to approach. Not just because I was doing all the other things, but for example, with Sneak, I was just approached by Sneak, and they said that, look, you are writing really good articles about us and posts, and because I like Sneak, they help to shift security left. I like many things about them. So they just approached me and asked like if I want to become an ambassador, and that's a really nice experience. And then people reach out to me and say that someone told them about me, and that's also a good experience. So so that's a question I had at a conference some time ago, 2 years ago. So my open source journey started 2 years ago at DevOps, maybe 2022. So the key is how to apply the knowledge of what I'm doing now. So because of the economic situation in the world, although I think it is getting better, I think in 1 year time, it will be easier for businesses around the world to approach money, and that will lead to more job spaces, including IT. But currently there's a shortage of jobs for many of us, and I'm trying to help. So what I'm telling people when they ask like, how do we put it in real life? So what I'm telling them that, look, for example, your goal, we need to be clear about goals. Remember, I was talking about goal. You need to be clear. So if your goal is, because people come to me and they say, I want to do open source, and I'm telling them that, look, even I don't want to do open source as like just do it. I want to do open source so I can help people. Currently, it's get jobs. So I started doing open source because I was trying to find people something to live for, because there are some people who are really depressed and they're like close to suicide and stuff like that. Then I started doing open source to help people to get out of burnout. So for example, if somebody like is not doing any cool stuff at work and they're burning out, and I can tell them that, look, let's try to find something which interests you. For example, space, for example, NASA projects. So maybe you like education. So I help people with that. Then I started using open source as a way to get people educated, because for us who live in Europe, in UK, in many other places around the world, we might take education as granted. But for people in many other parts of not the world, I don't like those, but for example, one of the best universities institutes in the world, I think it's called Indian Institute of Technology. It's really good, but I think they're getting like 1,000 people per place. So there's a very good chance even the brightest ones won't get accepted. I might be wrong, double check the details, but I was using open source as a way to tell people that, look, you can work together and learn from the very best people in the industry. And these people might be so highly paid and so busy that they don't have time for teaching at universities, but they will have time to mentor you. I'm not saying about like typical mentoring, but you'll build relationships, because when you help them, they help you. But now, when so many people don't have jobs, I'm trying to show how to use open source to get jobs. because people are already aware about all the stuff I was talking before. So what I'm doing for people, or showing them to do, so I'm asking them, okay, I understand it's economical crisis. I understand life is tough, but tell me, what is your ideal job in 5 years' time? So let's say you are going to be a lead developer, right? So what I'm telling you to do then, go to LinkedIn, please choose your geographical area, go to the jobs section, choose your geographical area, because as you will find, jobs availability, as you know, it really differs between different geographies. You will get different kind of jobs, and probably less than in Pakistan than in the United States, with all respect to both countries. So then find 3 of the jobs, ideally remote, of course, which are available in your area, but for you who is like 5 years more senior, and then compare them. So they should be, of course, similar jobs. So this one was some principal engineer and maybe backend. So find those 3 principal engineer backends and try to do triangulation. Try to check which open source technologies this sort of engineer is using. So for example, this one is using Elasticsearch, and by the way, Spring. I'm quite sure this might be open source as well, and there's a ton of obviously Kubernetes, Graph. So choose the ones which intersect between those 3 positions, and then do a research, and then start contributing to these projects. So the idea is that when you come to interview, even for a junior position to these companies, you will have something in common with these companies. And you, instead of telling, let's say you are a fresh graduate, or maybe you're a senior developer, instead of telling them what you did before, you will be telling, before in terms like I played basketball, or I did such and such cool project at work, which is not related to this new company. You can be telling them, look, you're using the latest Elasticsearch, you're using, I don't know, Kafka, Spring, and I've done such and such things. And I saw the problems which your company had, and stuff like that. And I personally know a person, Australian developer, who went to an interview in a company. I think he even got hired. But when they learned about his open source, but when they learned that he did few contributions to NASA, then although they were not his most technically challenging contributions and stuff, but when they learned that, the rest of the talk, they were talking about this stuff, and he got hired. So, so this is the way to go. So it's also important to understand that although technically open source is just a license, right? You take a specific open source license. That there are many of them. There are robots which allow you to choose them online, like Apache license, MIT license, others. But although you can define open source as a license, and you need to be careful there, and you can put license and put hello world text file, it's already an open source project. Probably not the most popular, but it exists. But it's not a real life, but you also need to understand that it's the community behind open source projects is what is important. So license is also important, that your project doesn't get stolen in a bad way. That it's fine to share, but if people try to violate your licenses, it might be not something you want. But communities are the way to go. So for example, my favorite one is Open UK community. We do conference once a year, and we do meetups every month or so. And our meetups are hybrid. So although they happen around UK, you can attend them via Microsoft Teams. And but please check the schedule, because physical meetup starts earlier, and then people have their pizzas and stuff, because, well, it's in the evening and they don't have time. And so just check the schedule. But everybody is welcome to go to Open UK, and this is one of the most influential open source communities in the world. So our previous conference was in front of House of Parliament, and it was opened. It was opened by Wikipedia founder. It's really good. So yeah, I wish I found it earlier, but better. And I'm ambassador there. They noticed me. I was just helping. So that's one of the top leaders to follow because, well, happens to be CEO of Open UK, Amanda Brock, amazing person. And Amanda has been a lawyer for Canonical for 6 years. And amazing person. And Amanda is a lawyer. Amanda doesn't do much IT as such, but Open UK, we look after open data, open software, open source, open AI these days, but it's more on strategic levels. It's more about like laws, legislation, how to grow communities, how to set targets, maybe how to get investments. We do research on open source. So if you want theoretical and strategical parts, or maybe tactical parts added to your open source, this is the place to go. If you want to make sure that your contributions go into the right direction, not just happen, this is a very right way to go. So this is one of my friends from open source friends from around the world. This is Bilal Khan. Amazing story. He actually lives in Pakistan on the border with Afghanistan. And when we are doing streams, sometimes his electricity might disappear, and then he will have and borrow a mobile phone from his neighbor. Actually, he will have this phone borrowed so he can reconnect. So tell him that our lives in Europe are hard, but he's one of the top contributors. He's doing mostly platform engineering. He's a DevOps person. He's a working university. So if you want to hire someone to help you with your communities around the world or do low-level stuff or platform engineering, he's a genius, like a very kind and smart person. I'm really thankful to him. Oh, and contributor to Canonical, actually. He's good. So Kunal Kushwaha, many of us know him. He's a legend. And he got an award this year from I think it was Open UK award for like he's an amazing person. So his story is that he made some videos about Kubernetes, I think, and videos became viral because remember my formula, my and Bruno's formula, you need to solve some specific problems. So he nailed it. And then he was approached by a company from UK, and now he works at Silver Cloud. Yeah, he's a DevRel. So he's good, really good person. He has 200,000, I think, on YouTube alone, and several 100,000 on Twitter, and he's still very friendly, and everything. He's open, and he's a nice person. So that's how it should be. Oh, sorry, Kunal, it's 400,000 on YouTube, and this is an old picture. So he's growing. Oh, Eddie Jode, and a person I really suggest you to follow. If you go to this link free Eddie Jode, but now it's called Biodrop. So when people ask me how to start open source, I'm telling them, do this project. It's an open source project on its own, and I'll show it afterwards. But it's the best open source community to start with. The project is simple to grasp, and you can use it straight away. And he's doing so much for open source and for supporting people around the world and everything. Oh, that's my NASA friend. So of course he's not employed in NASA directly, but he's the one who contributed to NASA projects. Amazing person, knows everything about Docker. And when you follow these people, you learn from them the right ways to share, and maybe you affect the ways they share. And you can even ask, for example, AD approached me like a few weeks ago and asked me about features I would like to be added to Biodrop. And the features got added because I just told him like what is my pain, and you'll see it a bit later. But yeah. So, and Bruno Souza, the person who started everything with this formula. Well, he gave me the formula. So amazing person, and all about developers growth and people in IT growth. And well, it's his full-time jobs now. He's a mentor for community. He's so good. So now this is the, you're free to take this QR code with your cameras. That will lead you to my buy drop page. I'll just give you some time to do it. And then we can get a bit more real. To like, I will just quickly show you some links I have, because I can talk and share open source for days. And that's what I'm actually doing. But here we are limited. And as always, when I start this talk, I'm thinking like, look, my formula is so small, my and Bruno's formula, our formula. But how would I spend those 45 minutes? And then I don't have enough. So when you take this, so I think that's it. So let me see. So here, I think buy drop. So let's start with buy drop. So hopefully it will take you to this page. And what this page is, and this is open source. This is the link for your profile, all right? So for example, you can subscribe to my newsletter, you can go to my Twitter, LinkedIn, and such. And the milestones, why? Why does this project exist? The alternatives which existed, they were paid. So they cost, let's say, $10. And for us in UK and the United States, for some of us in these countries, because life is hard, and for some of us it's harder, but for many of us, it's just a few cups of coffee. But for a student in Pakistan, or for a student in India, or maybe for a student in London, Tower Hamlets, or maybe not even a student, person might not have an opportunity, a privilege to go to university. This costs money. So, and this project is a quality project. And what it allows you, when you go to conferences, you can show this QR to people. So when you want to connect fast on conferences, that's how I use it. There are different users. They can get to your page where you share everything, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, your newsletter, your milestones. That's extremely useful when it's a long conference, and when you want people to, like, you're telling them, oh, I've just written this thing on LinkedIn. Oh, on Twitter, I do that stuff. And for example, I did an interview of some senior people from Microsoft, and I did it on LinkedIn as a stream, and I immediately got like 500 views. And that was back in the days when I had only a few hundred people following me on LinkedIn. That was big. So there's a lot of stuff. So this project allows you to tell people more about what they need to know without damaging your throat. And it's good. And also it's a very good community for open source. They're extremely helpful, the top-notch ones, and they're extremely practical. So let's see the other links. So this is one for the Java people. Oh, no, not Java. There's so much to it now. Java, Go, Net, you name it, even Elixir, right? So what they do, and this is a success story, and thank you for the t-shirt again. They learned that I'm going to do this thing, and they shared the t-shirt with me and some stickers. Thank you. So test containers. Test containers, it's an open source. So there was a need to integrate containers into your Java unit tests. And many of you will know Docker. And so what they allow you to load up, I don't know, Postgres, for example, as a Docker image, and put it into your running Docker on this machine, and bring like a database live for your tests. And that was extremely convenient. And if I'm not wrong, then community came to them, and business actually came to them and said that, look, we want you to make a business version of it, because this thing became critical for businesses around the world. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you need to understand the value. So the value of test containers is that they're really bringing value. And now they become, there's something called Atomic Jar. I'm trying to find maybe on docs, maybe on, do I have it here? Let's see. Atomic Jar. I will just Google it. But now it's a full business. I mean, it's yes, that's their business hand. So it's an amazing company, and that will help you. Learning their product will help you first to make your tests better, and then it will help you to connect. It's like endless bucket of your future presentations to community. When you show how to create quality tests better, people like it. There are cases when something was not tested enough and companies went down, like they lost hundreds of millions of pounds, so or dollars. So testing is important, and this stuff is so cool. And I think there's Atomic Jar talk at this conference as well. So what else to show you? So that's obviously our meetup. Oh, obviously there's a obviously apply to one of the open source of the ways to be visible with open source is to apply to conferences. One of them is JCON. So JCON is amazing. It's oh, thank you, Stefan. Yes, I love test containers, and of course they're free. You don't have to use like any paid version. You can use it for free. So, but you need to double check content and stuff. So, submitting to conferences, JCON #1, of course, because we are in JCON. Thank you, friends. And this is a main conference. So, volunteering for conferences, they all need. So, for example, JCON happens. JCON on some other cool conference that happens in real life, go to them and ask, how can you help? Even for the virtual one, you can ask and ask them, how can you help? Well, this one is related State of Open Source Conference. I can put link in the chat. So State of Open Conference is the one related to Open UK. That's the big one I was talking about. So we are looking for CFPs till the end of, I think, November. I think 1st December is cutoff time. So please keep submitting your CFPs. That's called community. Basically, it's a talk proposal. Call for papers, yeah. It's a talk proposals. And even if you don't get accepted, still your ranking goes up and people start noticing you. So you can talk about so many different things. And if you think you know nothing, come to me, I will help. Which are the cool links I have? That's this one, this project I just love. It's called Quality Outreach. I don't. You'll need to read more about it. But what I love about it is that it lists projects. Many of them are using Java, and it even shows you Java version. So you can choose open source project also by Java versions using this thing. So you can, for example, I want to go with the latest 22 version of JDK. There's RX Java. Let me take a look at this one. There's My Buddies. There's there's Hibernate Search, for example. So, for example, when you're looking to extend your latest knowledge of latest version of Java, this one is helpful. And there's so many other things, but here, and this is an example of our meetup. Not an example. This is the meetup from Open UK, hybrid event. We are trying to be as open as we can, like really. So in this one, if you sign up for the event, you can actually join. For example, we'll be having this one, goal setting from, this will be great. And you'll be able to join it, I would say, around 7:15, but realistically we might be a bit slow. We're still setting it up, so it might be like 7:30. But you can join the same talk as people in London. And so I know it's not the same as being there, but it's better than not being there. And you will learn from lead people from around the industry. So this is good, trust me. This is really good. And that's how you build connections, and then that's how you learn how to contribute. So yeah, do we have any questions? Oh, I have some questions I can share. Yeah. So I hope that's helpful. So, and we can actually go to GitHub. So why not, right? Not SEO, although SEO is good. Let me see if I can sign in. Yeah. Okay, I need to validate my thing. 1 second. Where's my GitHub? That stuff happens. Ouch, sorry. Oh, GitHub, approve, close. Okay, confirm. So I'll show that one of the projects I was helping with, I was working with people from Gambia. So that's when you understand like how different world is, because some people have laptops with 4 gigabytes of memory. Some people have laptops where 4 or 5 keys do not work, like important keys and stuff like that. So, so for example, let's contribute to something called Spring Boot. Oh, one of the things here is that space engineering. One of the things is in GitHub, which is very useful, is topics. If you go here, this one. So topics is like a hashtag. So you can search for projects to your liking as using searching topics. So for example, education, right? So there are 443 projects marked as educational project, or for example, I know WordPress, whatever. So let's go to this one. So for example, so these are the projects under this specific topic, education. The 443, it was only hashtags, kind of. So for example, FreeCodeCamp, it's an open source, very good point to be top notch. So for example, we open this project, and years before eKey worked, I think it stopped working. But if you press dot on your keyboard, you will have a web editor open. And from there, you can do direct contributions. So, so for example, check the README files, for example, for typos. If you don't, I mean, it all depends. So my favorite approach is when you like the project and you like the community, don't start doing this one, I will do Java website for you, or I don't know, Rust stuff. Go to them and ask them, how can you help? For example, being the maintainer is one of the extremely important parts of any open source project. Being a maintainer is so important that you need to be very serious about your personal security, because states around the world might want to hack you. I'm speaking not about people, I'm speaking about states, because they might want to hack your account because you're a maintainer. I'm not trying to frighten off, but yes, let's say you're a maintainer in a critical project. The idea is that the maintainer account gets hacked, and then nothing happens, and maintainer continues to contribute as the maintainer was doing in open source this project. And then one day they just add one more commit, they add a backdoor to some critical project, and then they do nothing. And then on day I don't know, and day X, this state, somebody or a bunch of backed hackers, they actually exploit this vulnerability. So maintainers are critical, because maintainers are the people who stay with the project for long. So individual contributors, they might come and go. Like you might fix a code and then you'll find a better project, and that's not bad. That's fine. That's called growth. But maintainers, they stay for long. So that's important. So here, for example, we can go to so earlier when we were looking at the project, let's say we found the README file, and we found that something is missing and some typo. You can even feed it to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, can you make it better? Okay, so let me see. So if I go, can you make this README MD better? ChatGPT can reach out to links now as well. So, for example, this, it doesn't have to be typos. I can see moderator's face, so probably I can stop anytime and start asking questions. So as long as there are questions. But there's just so much to share about open source. I can be doing it for days. So you can grasp idea from here. So ChatGPT has ideas for improving README of free code camp. And free code camp has quality stuff. So I use ChatGPT often, obviously not in brute force, not in this way. Another way to contribute is to translate. So obviously, a way to contribute is coding. So you can find top contributors on GitHub and research their projects and learn from them and maybe contribute. So I personally, I'm more of a DevRel person. I started open source because I wanted to get better in Java. And then I understood that I can grow rapidly to like a very cool Java developer, which is still on the table. But if I do it only for myself, then what's the point? Yes, I will get a better house and a better car, but I can maybe prevent few suicides, help people from burnouts. And when I learn that somebody tells me that, oh, I got a job, oh, I got relocated because of your advice, oh, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Thank you. So, yeah.
Excuse me, Nikita, for interrupting, but we slowly need to come to an end because we still need to break. So thank you very, very much for your interesting insights. And I hope you had a good presentation. So thank you very much. And yeah, if you want to say your last words, you can still do it if you want. I didn't want to interrupt you, so. You're unmuted, so I can't hear you.
Be brave and keep coming, and just if there's a problem, talk to the community openly on Twitter, LinkedIn. For example, you can start contributing to open source right now. Go there and write, and write that there are nice presentations, or maybe not nice presentations at JCON, and always mention people. Mention JCON, because it will help this conference to grow. And of course, they will love you even more. So it really helps.